All right, welcome. Today, we are getting you into the captain's seat of the magnificent Airbus A330. So if you're ready to make that jump up to a wide-body jet, think of this as your personal briefing. We're going to take you from a totally cold and dark cockpit all the way to a perfect, smooth landing.
So here's our flight plan. We'll kick things off with the basics, get those engines started and handle the takeoff, and then, the really fun part, mastering the final approach. After we're safely on the ground, we'll run a quick post-flight debrief on the A330 family and its different engines before we clear you for your next destination. Let's get to it.
You know, flying the A330, it's all about getting a feel for its really sophisticated systems and automation. It's such a rewarding challenge, and I promise, by the end of this briefing, you are going to feel right at home on this flight deck.
Okay, let's dive right in. Picture this. We're at the gate, the cockpit is cold and dark. It's our job to bring this amazing aircraft to life and get started with our pre-flight procedures. All the pre-flight checks are complete, the doors are closed, and guess what? We are cleared for pushback. This is where the action really begins, as we get ready to start those engines. So the A330 procedure specifically calls for starting engine 1 first, and there's a really practical reason for it. Kicking on engine 1 is what powers up the blue hydraulic system, and that's what gives you pressure for the brakes. Yeah, a pretty crucial detail. Once engine 1 is up and stable, the procedure for engine 2 is exactly the same. Nice and logical. And we're airborne. As you clean up the gear and flaps, keep your eyes on the primary flight display. You'll see THR climb pop up in the flight mode annunciator. That's your confirmation. Auto thrust is now engaged and it's managing all the power for a super efficient climb. The aircraft is now flying the route all by itself. All right, we've hit our top of descent, and now for what I think is the most dynamic and rewarding part of any flight, the approach and landing. This is where we really work together with the aircraft's advanced systems to pull off a perfect, stable approach all the way down to the runway. On the approach, your primary flight display, it's your new best friend. It's showing all the critical ILS, that's instrument landing system data, like the frequency and distance. But look, it also shows your aircraft's capability. See that CAT 3D? That means we are equipped for a full hands-off auto land in pretty much zero visibility. It is incredible technology.
You know, Airbus has such a clever way of communicating the ILS status. When you see lock turn green, it means the autopilot is actively tracking the localizer and lining you up perfectly with the runway centerline. But notice GS is still blue. That just means the system is armed and it's waiting to capture the vertical glide slope, but it hasn't quite intercepted it yet. Just remember, green is active, blue is arm.
Managing your speed on approach is absolutely critical. The first key marker you're going to see on your speed tape is green dot speed. This basically represents your minimum safe maneuvering speed while the aircraft is clean. And by clean, I just mean no flaps or gear are extended yet. Okay, so once you extend that first stage of flaps, a new marker appears, the letter S, for S speed. This is now your new minimum safe speed for flaps configuration 1. The aircraft is constantly dynamically calculating how slow you can safely fly as you change the configuration. It's pretty smart.
And finally, with flaps 2 and 3 extended for landing, you get F speed. This is your minimum safe speed for the final approach. Your actual target speed is going to be F speed plus a few extra knots, just to give you a nice, safe margin above the stall speed. Okay, gear down, 3 greens, spoilers are armed, and touchdown! A smooth little flare and the auto brakes do all the hard work. And with that, I can quote the manual directly. Congratulations, you have completed the flight. Nicely done. Now let's taxi to the gate and have our debrief. Welcome back to the gate. While we get the aircraft shut down, let's talk about the specific model we just flew. We were in the A330-300, but there are a few key variants in the family, and it's definitely worth knowing the difference. So the two main passenger versions are the 200 and the 300. The most obvious difference is the length. The 300 is just visibly longer. Now, to compensate for that shorter fuselage on the 200, Airbus actually gave it a taller vertical fin and rudder for better stability. The 200 is also the long-range champion, thanks to an optional center fuel tank that gives it an absolutely impressive range of over 15,000 kilometers. There's also a dedicated cargo version, the A330-300 P2F, which just stands for passenger to freighter. And as you'd expect, no windows, no seats.
The biggest changes are that only the front two doors are used by the crew, and a massive cargo door has been installed on the main deck to load up all the containers.
One last piece of our debrief. The A330 can be fitted with engines from two different manufacturers, General Electric or Rolls-Royce. And while they both get the job done, they have these fundamentally different designs and really different philosophies. So let's take a look under the cowling.
So the crucial point is how they measure thrust. General Electric's CF6 engine uses something called N1, which is just the speed of that huge front fan expressed as a percentage. On the other hand, Rolls-Royce's Trent 700 uses EPR, or engine pressure ratio, which measures the pressure difference between the air going in and the exhaust coming out. This also points to a design difference. The GE is a two-spool engine, while the Rolls-Royce has 3 rotating spools. Now, from the cockpit, this changes what you're looking at on your engine/warning display. With GE engines, your primary thrust indication is the N1 percentage. That is the main number you're going to manage. You'll also see N2, which is the speed of the high-pressure core, displayed right below it. Now, let's look at the display for a Rolls-Royce-powered A330. Your focus shifts completely. The primary thrust indication is now that EPR value. So instead of setting a fan speed, you're actually commanding a specific pressure ratio. You still monitor the fan speeds, N1 and N3, but with Rolls-Royce, EPR is king. And that brings our flight briefing to a close. We've gone from pre-flight to shutdown, we've covered the essential procedures for takeoff and landing, and we even dug into the technical differences between the A330 variants and their engines. You are now equipped with the core knowledge you need to handle this incredible aircraft.
So the only question left is, with this knowledge in your flight bag, where is your first flight gonna take you? A short-haul hop, or maybe a long-haul journey across the ocean? The flight deck is all yours. Thanks for joining us. Clear skies and tailwinds.